A cat so nice they animated him twice, with an attitude like Bugs Bunny and the voice to go with it. One of the most famous orange cats in pop culture history, but never the one you think of first. Hi, I'm Dan Larson, and this is the history of Heathcliff and the Catillac Cats. Heathcliff, also known as Heathcliff and the Catillac Cats, is an animated series that originally ran 86 episodes over 2 seasons from September of 1984 to September of 1985. One of the many shows based on licensed properties produced by DIC Entertainment with that special DIC polish. Heathcliff is a stripy orange house cat who lives with the Nutmeg family and their grandson Iggy, because despite his need for independence and love for neighborhood adventure, he still appreciates the comfort of a warm bed and free meals. Which stands in contrast to the Catillac Cats Hector, Mungo, and Wordsworth, led by Riff Raff and his girlfriend Cleo, a gang of stray cats living in a junkyard and regularly scheming for their next meal. They have a greater degree of freedom than Heathcliff, perhaps, but at the cost of chin scratches and easy treats. Hector, Mungo, and Wordsworth are the bridge and the wall between Heathcliff and Riff Raff's turf. Bullied and bossed around by Heathcliff, utilized as tools by Riff Raff, doing whatever they need to do to survive the two dominant personalities who never seem to interact with each other. There's fun, friendship, and fights around every corner. Who knows where the next episode will take them? Stick around till the very end and you may just learn a lesson about the animals in your own world, straight from the cats, the people, the world of Heathcliff. Thank you to 80stees.com for sponsoring this video. Click the link in the description below and use code TOYGALAXY to get 30% off your order today. I'm currently in my 6th decade on planet Earth. The 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the aughts, the teens, and now the 20s. And while a lot has changed, there's at least one thing that hasn't: my taste in clothing. It's t-shirts all the way back. Lucky for people like me, you know, people with torsos, 80stees.com is also t-shirts all the way back. T-shirts for any occasion you might need a t-shirt for, which, again, for me, is all occasions. Going to the movies, a concert, a ball game, a TED Talk, visiting family, getting groceries, walking the dog, dentist appointment, wedding, optometrist, colonoscopy. Find the shirt that's right for you. And while you're there shopping for yourself, maybe you find something for someone else too. Your mom, your dad, your veterinarian. They've got shirts for teachers, artists, writers, and all your favorite YouTube editors. You can buy the shirt that I'm wearing in the video you're about to watch. Not the actual shirt, but one just like it. Click the link below and use code TOYGALAXY for 30% off your order today. Again, that's code TOYGALAXY for 30% off your order. And thanks again to 80stees.com. George Gately Gallagher was born December 21st, 1928 in Queens Village, New York. After high school, he attended the Pratt Institute, which dumped him into advertising as a commercial artist, where he spent the next 11 years of his life. George wasn't the only artist in his family. His older brother, John Gallagher, kicked off his own career as a professional cartoonist when he sold his first strip to the New Yorker magazine in 1951. By 1957, he had comics in a plethora of publications and graduated to award-winning cartoonist John Gallagher. That was the same year that George decided he'd had enough of advertising. He sold his first strip using the name George Gately so as not to be confused with his professionally established brother John. In 1964, Gately started his first regular strip called Hapless Harry. 3 years later, in 1967, he added a strip called Hippie. And in 1973, an original creation about a house cat and his daily adventures called Heathcliff. Gately's Heathcliff was published in newspapers all over the US and around the world by McNaught Syndicate, the same syndicate that made household names out of comics like Hooskow Herman, Mortimer Snerd, and Boot McNutt. I joke, but Heathcliff was a popular comic through the 70s and into the 80s, making a name for Gately's striped cat a full 5 years before Jim Davis's Garfield was picked up for syndication in 1978. Heathcliff was so popular that in 1980, Ruby Spears produced a weekly Heathcliff animated series called Heathcliff and Dingbat. In this case, pairing Heathcliff with some Ruby Spears original creations and a time-sharing trend that continued throughout Heathcliff's television career. Dingbat was a vampire dog voiced by the Frank Welker, who hung out with a gang of creeps. That is, a rotund skeleton named Spare Rib and a limbless jack-o'-lantern named Nobody, both played by Don Messick. Heathcliff was played by the legendary Mel Blanc, using a voice that was just a hair away from Bugs Bunny. If you close your eyes, you can easily imagine Heathcliff taking a wrong turn at Albuquerque.
Maybe you need a rest. You look bushed.
Season 1 ran 13 episodes from October to December 1980. Each half-hour episode featured 2 short segments focused on Heathcliff and 2 short segments focused on Dingbat and the Creeps. Their adventures were completely separate from each other, with no connecting narrative between the shorts or from episode to episode. Season 2 dropped Dingbat and the Creeps, replacing them with newspaper comic strip counterpart Marmaduke. For 13 more weekly episodes between September and December of 1981, the series was retitled Heathcliff and Marmaduke. Season 2 was constructed like Season 1. Each half-hour episode featured a single Heathcliff short sandwiched between 2 Marmaduke shorts. After 26 episodes, Heathcliff and Marmaduke went back to the papers. Dingbat and the Creeps were never heard from again. Meanwhile, Garfield made a lot of money. Indulge me for a moment while I point out that Jim Davis founded Paws Incorporated in 1981 as a separate company specifically to handle all the licensing deals he was making with Garfield. Davis was a protege of Charles Schulz, who had long mastered the ability to rake in merchandising dollars with his Peanuts characters. Davis's first collected book of Garfield strips, Garfield at Large, made it to the top of the New York Times bestseller list in 1981. Just 3 years into syndication, and Garfield was already a national pop culture icon. From there, it was easy to make dough and cash out in lasagna. By 1981, Garfield had already made over $15 million in licensed merchandise. In 1982, Garfield got his first half-hour animated television special called Here Comes Garfield, featuring Lorenzo Music as Garfield and theme music by Lou Rawls. Unlike Heathcliff, this was a one-shot episode. Unlike Heathcliff, the entire 30 minutes was devoted to Garfield and his adventures. Garfield put out his second and third book of collected strips in 1981, fourth and fifth in 1982, 2 more books and another animated television special, Garfield on the Town in 1983, plush dolls, PVC figures, school supplies, clothing. Garfield was everywhere.
Hey, gang, Heathcliff here with a whole bunch of brand new adventures starring me, Heathcliff. I cause all sorts of trouble. And my buddy Riff Raff and his pals Hector, Wordsworth, and Mungo are in on the fun, too. So join the family. Spike, Riff Raff, Sonia, and me, Heathcliff, right here every day. Oh, you'll love it, cause I come from a long line of bad pussycats.
Weekday mornings, 7:30 on Television 28.
But enough about Garfield. We're talking about Heathcliff. And in 1983, so was DIC Entertainment, as a potential follow-up to Inspector Gadget, their first big hit on US television. Founded in France in 1968 by Jean Chalopin, DIC produced animated shorts for French television beginning in 1975. They started to attract a more international audience with Ulysses 31 in 1981 and The Mysterious Cities of Gold in 1982. DIC made a deliberate effort to exploit the US market when they hired Hanna-Barbera veteran Andy Hayward in 1981. Hayward established DIC's US presence with an office in Burbank, California, while collaborating with Bruno Bianchi to develop Inspector Gadget. I mean, look, Garfield was nominated for an Emmy for his 1982 television special, Here Comes Garfield. Garfield won an Emmy for his 1983 television special, Garfield on the Town. Surely there was room for more than one orange comic strip cat on television, especially for the orange comic strip cat who A, came first, and B, already had 2 seasons of a television series. DIC chose not to reinvent the wheel and simply applied what worked on Inspector Gadget to Heathcliff, including animation produced by Tokyo Movie Shinsha in Japan and Cuckoo's Nest Studio in Taiwan. Also a theme song composed by Saban and Shuki Levy, in this case with vocals by Noam Keneal. It's an unrelenting musical worm that gets stuck in your brain for years at a time, every time you remember that it exists.
You should realize you can win it with you.
And original character designs by Bruno Bianchi. Yes, the Catillac Cats were created by Bruno Bianchi specifically for the DIC animated series, to be utilized the same way Dingbat and the Creeps were used in the Ruby Spears series. New characters that DIC had full ownership over to share in the success writing Heathcliff's cattails. And that's Cadillac with a T, both for the pun value of working in the word cat and the legal value of avoiding any issues with Cadillac, the car company, although technically they're referred to as Cats & Co. in the credits. Recognizing the value of his talent and name recognition, DIC brought Mel Blanc back as the voice of Heathcliff, leaving it up to viewers to consider whether the DIC series is a reboot of the Ruby Spears series or, perhaps, a continuation of the same timeline down the road a bit. Production on Inspector Gadget Season 2 happened at the same time at the same place by the same people as Season 1 of Heathcliff. In fact, eagle-eyed viewers will catch cameo appearances by each other in each other's series. Heathcliff kicked off in daily syndication on Monday, September 3rd, 1984. 65 new episodes aired daily through November and were rerun thereafter. Season 2 followed in September 1985 with 21 more episodes for a total of 86. In 1986, Heathcliff joined his cartoon pals at the movie theaters with Heathcliff the Movie. In this case, movie is doing a lot of work because it was more of a clip show than anything. It was newly animated segments of Heathcliff on a rainy day recounting some of his previous adventures to his nephews. Not quite the mythology-shaking experience of The Transformers the movie. To be clear, Heathcliff does not die at the end. Heathcliff the Movie made over $2 million. However, 8-year-old Benjamin Miller, writing in the Rochester Democrat and Chronicle, said, quote, "I want to tell your readers about a ripoff. This ripoff is the new Heathcliff movie. It is more old than new. They took old Heathcliff cartoons from TV and made a chain out of them. The new part is where they stuck the old cartoons together with Heathcliff looking at a photo album with his nephews. I could see these cartoons on my VCR. I don't have to spend $2.50 of my allowance to see old cartoons. Kids are not stupid. I want to tell other people that the Heathcliff movie is really old cartoons. People should not waste their money on this movie." Heathcliff daily comics have been collected as books since 1977. In 1985, Marvel Comics began publishing new Heathcliff comic books under their Star Comics imprint. 2 titles, including a bi-monthly Heathcliff's Funhouse and a monthly Heathcliff, which, according to Heathcliff.com, was Star's top-selling title. Both books switched over to Marvel Comics branding about halfway through their runs. Heathcliff's Funhouse ended in 1988 after 10 issues. Heathcliff made it to 1991 after 56 issues. Technically, Heathcliff the TV series wasn't canceled due to poor performance. Donna Christie, who played Cleo and Iggy Nutmeg, said that the series ended because Mel Blanc's declining health prevented him from working. A smoker since he was a child, Blanc quit smoking when he was diagnosed with emphysema in 1985, but the damage was already done. He was further diagnosed with COPD and passed away at age 81 in 1989. Heathcliff continued to air in reruns through 1988 before jumping over to Nickelodeon. The series ran for another 5 years before finally ending its broadcast run in 1993. Meanwhile, Garfield's 12 television specials through 1991 garnered 8 Emmy nominations and 4 Emmy wins. As of this video, there are 77 books collecting his newspaper strips, with the 78th due later this year. His specials are on VHS, DVD, and Blu-ray. He's made millions on video games, toys, collectibles, housewares, clothing, and more. He's had 3 feature films and 3 more released direct-to-video. Heathcliff hasn't. But he persists. George Gately's nephew, Peter Gallagher, apprenticed with George for 5 years between 1993 and 1998. George retired in 1998, and since then, any new strips have been written and illustrated by Peter. There have been a few attempts to bring Heathcliff back in a big way. A trailer for Heathcliff Bad Kitty was released in 2010, but the film was never completed. And in 2021, The Hollywood Reporter announced that Legendary Entertainment had secured the television and movie rights. More news when it happens. Hard to deny Heathcliff's appeal, that there should be something there. Heathcliff the comic has been in syndication for over 50 years and over 1,000 newspapers with tens of millions of daily readers. Books, comics, licensed merchandise, and more. For a whole generation of kids, Heathcliff and the Catillac Cats were a standard of daily television viewing, introducing them to comics and characters that they may not have known existed. Despite predating Garfield by several years in comics and on television, Garfield's shadow loomed large, and that's not a joke about his size. It's hard to be the second cat, always sharing the spotlight, even in his own shows. Always a runner-up, always an afterthought, always Heathcliff. Thank you for watching. Please hit like and subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. Thank you very much to those of you who already are. Please visit our Patreon at patreon.com/toygalaxy. Several different tiers to address your specific Secret Galaxy content needs. Check out the Secret Galaxy merch shop at secretgalaxy.shop. All merchandise is physically in stock and ready to ship. Links to all of this in the description below, and let us know in the comments down below if you ever watched Heathcliff and the Catillac Cats, or better still, if you knew there was a cartoon before Heathcliff and the Catillac Cats. I had no idea the first series existed, but watched a ton of the DIC series. One of those series where, at the time, I didn't see the animation style that connected it to other cartoons. Now, especially in that intro, it is so clear that it's the same people who did Inspector Gadget. Also weird to have gone 40 years not realizing that while he was a great and talented voice actor, Mel Blanc was absolutely just doing Bugs Bunny again. And now I can't hear anything but that. Imagine getting paid to just keep doing the same thing over and over again, year after year, and no one noticing.
Cut.